Last minute cancellations. Forgotten character sheets. Players winging it again. Listen, if your table's adventures ever feel this close to death, these 6 player tips might be enough to keep it alive. Let's dive in, shall we? Dungeon masters spend hours crafting worlds, building encounters, and, if we're being honest, sometimes sobbing into their notebooks in those quiet hours when they don't think any players are paying attention. But what about players? Oftentimes, players just show up with a dice bag and call it a day. It's one of the biggest complaints about Dungeons and Dragons as a tabletop RPG. The fact that dungeon masters carry 90% of the weight of playing the game. And the other 10% is distributed, hopefully evenly, between 3 to maybe 7 other players. But it doesn't have to be that way. Today, I'm sharing 6 powerful tips of my own that my players use to help run consistent, engaging, and long-running campaigns, including one critical tip that'll show up right at the end that is most oftentimes completely overlooked by new and old players alike. Seriously, stick around for number 6, it is a game changer. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. Tip number 1, lock down your schedules. D&D isn't just a casual hangout, right? Most of the time, people aren't looking to play beer and pretzels D&D, where they just kind of sit around and chit-chat and roll some dice. Most people don't want that. They want a planned social obligation where they can disappear into a fantasy or sci-fi world and forget about the troubles of the real world. Totally get that. Your DM and your fellow players carved out time for this, so respect that, all right? Sure, sometimes life happens. Free concert tickets you have waited years for? Absolutely. Skip D&D, that's fine. Random Wednesday night hangout with Toby from accounting? Toby will survive without you, okay? Don't feel obligated there. But seriously, be transparent. If something might conflict, say so immediately. You want to set clear expectations. Maybe ask your DM to do this during session 0 when you're establishing ground rules. One thing that I started doing in my most recent campaign was I said, if we're only missing one person, we will keep playing. And you know what? That's worked out great. In previous campaigns, although we would play and finish them, we would maybe miss 1, 2, 3 sessions a week. Nowadays, for the Crimson Court, catch it Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We played 12 sessions in a row, 3 months, uninterrupted, not missing a single session until just this most recent session, that 13th week. We finally missed one because I wasn't available. Game's a little hard to run when your DM isn't available. I think that only makes sense. Because the thing is, it's best to do that if one player can't make it, that you continue to play, because momentum is everything, especially in a tabletop RPG. I am just curious, because this is a video I'd like to do in the future. If you have any scheduling horror stories, please drop those in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, and I'd love to make a video about them in the future, if you're all right with that. Tip 2, know your character sheet. Please, God, know your character sheet. Tip 2 is critical. Know your character sheet, okay? Let me say that again. Know your character sheet. Spend just 10 minutes reviewing it the day before a session or the day of a session. Have it opened and ready, digital, physical, doesn't matter. Just have it ready to go. One of my players, Felicity, she struggled to recall her abilities mid-combat, so she made herself a really simple flowchart in her notebook where she would write down what her character could do and when those abilities could be used. It kind of created this simple AI flowchart for her as if she was a video game character. So if allies are hurt, cast Healing Word. If enemies are clustered, use Thunderwave. Things like that. But the funny thing is after writing it down, it really helped her internalize it. She rarely had to reference it after she wrote it that first time, or maybe after she used it a couple times. Now look, new players get a lot of leeway. As they should. D&D is a really complex tabletop RPG, but if you've been playing for 5 years and you still forget what your attack bonus is every turn, well, I hate to be the one to tell you, your DM may laugh through gritted teeth, but they're dying on the inside. So maybe try to study the sheep just a little bit more. Tip number 3, malleable backstories. Bring your DM knives. Instead of handing your DM a fully written biography and saying, fit this in, start a conversation with them. Offer them a rough outline and ask, hey, how can we weave my character into your world? Even better, you should include what we call knives, which are hooks that your DM can use later. Maybe your character's mentor mysteriously vanished. Perhaps there's an unpaid debt to a shady merchant. Or maybe you left behind a powerful artifact hidden from your enemies. And while obviously I know your parents are probably dead because you're an orphan, because you're a D&D character, who's not? Maybe you have an uncle who is still alive that can be a dagger in that backstory. These knives or daggers let your DM tie your backstory deeply into the narrative, making your character feel like an integral part of that story instead of just some fridge magnet slapped on the top. We actually have a video about knives or daggers here. It's a little older at this point, but the content in it is still good. So thanks, Mark, for that video from like 3 years ago. But trust me, you will love the payoff when your DM twists that knife mid-campaign in the most unexpected way. The thing is, you have to set the DM up for success. You can't expect them to do it all on their own. Tip 4, be an enabler. In a good way, in a good way. Do not elicit any narcotics to your players. Don't enable them to do bad things. Enable them to do good things. Your job isn't just to be a super cool badass yourself, but you should want to create opportunities for your players to shine. Try and coordinate with your companions for cool combos in combat. Proactively set up dramatic moments in roleplay, like asking leading questions. Wait, cleric, isn't necromancy forbidden by your faith? Those setups often create for some of the most memorable moments at your table. Just taking a moment to understand why another player's character acts the way that they do and asking questions about why they act the way that they do. Listen, if you struggle talking to people, if you really feel like small talk is something that you are really bad at, D&D is the perfect place to practice. All you gotta do is ask other people about themselves. And newsflash, people love yapping about themselves. They won't stop. So talk to them. Get to know them, right? Try and understand a little bit about their backstory and ask other people about their backstories. Enable those moments. Let them take the spotlight. Help them take the spotlight. Supporting your party members doesn't just feel good, it makes the DM's job way easier. It shifts the responsibility for creating fun onto you and your group, not just the DM, which that's a win-win. If you're more mechanically minded and less roleplay minded, try and talk to the other players about potential combo mechanics, right? Oh, if I hold my action to do this and you hold your action to do that, you know, hey DM, could we maybe get like just like a little bonus for that? Like advantage on the attack, or, you know, maybe a little bit of extra damage, or maybe some movement in addition, right? Is there some way we could combine these two things just for a cool moment between our two characters? One of my favorite games of all time is Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I believe it was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 specifically. Maybe it was in both games, but I remember being able to combine hero abilities, specifically like Iron Man and Captain America. He could shoot the unibeam off Captain America's shield and it'd frickin' do laser beams around the enemies. That's awesome. That's super cool. In a group of extremely powerful people like what you are in D&D, that's what should happen. I know that my players have a couple of really cool collaborative moments from their campaigns. In fact, that's all we do is try and do cool moments with each other. Tip number 5, keep an adventure journal. Jot down NPC names, key events, dates, items, clues. One of my players, Gemma, she is fantastic. On multiple occasions, her notes have literally saved my life as a DM. Yes, literally. I had somebody break into my house, put a gun up to the back of my head and said, if you can't tell me the name of the pirate that hired Eurydice and Nalfion at the very beginning of the campaign to go find the Lily of the Valley, I'm gonna do something that you can surely imply that will not get demonetized by YouTube. And I said, it was Captain Hugo. Only because of Gemma's Master Doc, so thank you, Gemma. She does, I will say, correct me quite regularly on dates specifically in the current campaign, but honestly, I do appreciate it. Gemma's meticulous note-taking keeps us all organized and grounded in the narrative, so it is very important. Trust me, Future you will think past you when you remember that critical clue 40 sessions deep. It happens to the best of us. We can't all have steel trap memories. Sometimes we do have to write things down. Finally, tip number 6. Embrace failure and consequences. That's it. The most important thing you can do to keep your table sane, to have as much fun as possible in this game, and to make your DM's life a whole lot easier is learn to genuinely embrace failure and its consequences. So many players fear bad rolls, setbacks, or losing scenarios. They try desperately to avoid or reverse negative outcomes, pleading for rerolls or arguing with the DM. But here's the truth. Most of the time, failures aren't punishments. They can be narrative gold for character development and for plot development. You rolled a critical failure at the worst possible moment. That could be amazing storytelling. Your rogue botched a stealth check and got arrested? Perfect. Let's have a jailbreak arc. Your noble barbarian embarrassingly offended a group of royals? Fantastic. Let's navigate that court drama. When you trust your DM enough to let your character experience meaningful setbacks, every moment at the table becomes richer and more engaging. Victories mean so much more when you've tasted real defeat. Plus, let's be honest, watching your proud paladin awkwardly walk up after rolling a nat 1 persuasion check that's comedy gold right there, right? I think so. Now, if you adopt 2 or 3 of these things, I promise you your game nights are going to get better immediately. Do all 6, and your entire table levels up from we play once a month and everybody kind of doesn't like each other to we're best of friends. And we haven't missed a session in 4 months. Now, I would love to hear from everybody. Which tip do you resonate most with? Was there any tips that I missed that are truly helpful for having a really engaging and awesome table? Do you have a secret hack that your players swear by? Drop it below. I'd love to hear and see anything anybody has to say about their campaigns and what works for them. This is just what works for my table. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. I know I did. And until next time, may your rolls be high and may your campaigns never flatline.